Chosen one, why do the most powerful forces on this planet fear people like you? If you're here, it's because you're part of a hidden history they tried to erase. Now, it's time for you to see why. Have you ever felt like you don't quite belong in this world? Like there's something different about you, something others can't explain but always seem to notice? That's because you're not like everyone else. You're a chosen one. But here's the thing. They've been working tirelessly for centuries to ensure you never realize who you truly are. They rewrote history, erased sacred texts, and buried knowledge so deep that even you began to doubt yourself. Why? Because your power terrifies them. Today, the truth is resurfacing, and your awakening is part of a much larger divine plan. In this video, we're going to uncover the erased history of chosen ones, expose the system that suppressed your legacy, and reveal what happens when you step back into your forgotten power. The world has worked against you for too long, but now the truth is on your side. If you're ready to reclaim your legacy, like in comment 77, let's break through the lies together, because by the end of this video, you'll see why they worked so hard to silence you and why it no longer matters. Stay with me because your awakening starts now. The secret history of chosen ones that was erased. There have always been individuals and bloodlines who carried a spark that set them apart. People born into the world with a divine purpose written into their very being. These chosen ones were never meant to conform to the systems of control or the structures of fear and oppression that dominated society. Instead, they were healers of the wounded, visionaries who saw beyond the horizon of the ordinary, and warriors of truth who stood against deception. Their light could not be hidden, and their power was undeniable. Yet, this very uniqueness made them a threat to those who sought to enslave humanity under the weight of lies. And so, throughout history, the most powerful forces in the world conspired to erase them, their legacy, and the truth of who they were. Imagine, for a moment, ancient civilizations like the fabled Library of Alexandria. It was said to hold the collective wisdom of the ancient world. Knowledge of humanity's divine origins, spiritual potential, and sacred connection to the Creator. Within its walls, there were undoubtedly records that would have revealed the truth about the chosen ones. But it was destroyed deliberately and methodically. This wasn't an accident of history. It was an act of erasure, meant to strip humanity of the knowledge that would set them free. Those who feared the power of the chosen ones didn't want you to know who you were. They burned the evidence, rewrote the stories, and replaced divine wisdom with a narrative that suited their need for control. Throughout the Bible, we see glimpses of this hidden history. Genesis 6, for example, speaks of the Nephilim, mighty beings who were the offspring of divine and human unions. These were beings of immense power and purpose, a living testament to humanity's connection to the divine. And yet, this narrative has been dismissed, obscured, or downplayed over time. Why? Because acknowledging it would force us to confront the truth. Humanity was never created to live in chains, but to walk in divine authority and power. The Nephilim weren't just a curiosity of ancient history. They were a reminder of what happens when the chosen ones walk in their full potential. And that reminder was too dangerous for those in power to allow. This pattern of erasure isn't limited to ancient times. Think about the many cultures and spiritual traditions that have been systematically suppressed. The Druids, who held a profound understanding of the natural world and spiritual realms, were nearly wiped out by invading forces who feared their wisdom. Indigenous cultures around the world, from the Americas to Africa to Australia, carried sacred knowledge that has been dismissed, stolen, or destroyed in the name of colonization. These were not random acts of cultural destruction. They were deliberate attempts to erase the voices of chosen ones who held truths that could have shattered the illusions of the oppressors. Now, consider this on a personal level. How many times have you felt like you didn't belong, like the world around you was built to silence you? Maybe you felt the weight of others trying to force you into a mold that doesn't fit, or you've been made to question your own worth because your perspective and gifts don't align with the systems of power. This isn't a coincidence. The same forces that erased the Library of Alexandria and suppressed the voices of indigenous wisdom are the same forces that have tried to bury you. They may not burn books in your name, but they burn opportunities. They rewrite the narrative of your life to make you doubt the fire that burns within you. They see your potential and tremble because they know that if you awaken, their grip on this world will begin to crumble. The spiritual battle against chosen ones isn't just historical, it's cosmic. Throughout the ages, the enemy of truth has sought to sow confusion and doubt, to blind you to your own power. Take the biblical example of Pharaoh in Egypt, who ordered the murder of all Hebrew male infants when Moses, a chosen one, was born. Pharaoh knew that Moses had a destiny, even before Moses himself did. This wasn't just an act of cruelty. It was an attempt to erase a chosen one from history before he could rise. But divine purpose cannot be erased. Just as Moses grew to lead his people to freedom, so too will you find your way, no matter how much they try to erase your legacy. The destruction of truth also takes more insidious forms. In modern times, the rewriting of history is done not with fire, but with misinformation and manipulation. Stories of chosen ones are dismissed as myths, legends, or mere superstition. Ancient texts that speak of divine inheritance are relegated to the realm of conspiracy theories. The sacred is mocked, and the spiritual is commodified, all to keep you from recognizing the truth when you see it. But here's the thing, the truth cannot stay buried forever. Just as seeds buried in the ground eventually sprout and grow, the truth of who you are is beginning to break through the surface. If you look closely, the cracks in their system are already showing. Consider the resurgence of interest in ancient teachings, the rediscovery of sacred texts, and the growing awareness of spiritual awakening around the world. This isn't a coincidence. The same divine force that set the stars in motion is working to reveal the truths they tried to bury. And you are a part of that revelation. The fact that you're here, resonating with this message, is proof that their attempts to erase you have failed. The fire within you cannot be extinguished, no matter how many lies they tell or how much history they destroy. Think about how this impacts your daily life. The moments of doubt, the times you felt isolated or misunderstood, are not signs of failure. They're signs that you're different, that you're a chosen one walking a path that was never meant to be easy. The world has tried to convince you that your uniqueness is a weakness, but the opposite is true. It's your greatest strength. The same energy that set ancient civilizations ablaze with wisdom and power is alive in you today. And the more you step into that truth, the more their lies lose their power. Your journey is part of a much greater cosmic purpose. You were chosen not because you fit the mold, but because you break it. Your life is a testament to the fact that divine power cannot be erased, only hidden for a time. Like a star obscured by clouds, your light may have been unseen, but it has never stopped shining. And now, as the clouds begin to part, the world will see you for who you truly are. This is why they tried so hard to erase you. They knew that your existence reveals their lies, that your power exposes their weakness. But the time for silence is over. The truth is coming to light, and you are part of that revelation. It's not just about reclaiming the history they tried to bury. It's about reclaiming yourself. And as you do, you will find that the very forces that tried to erase you have only made you stronger. The cracks in their system are showing, and the light of truth is breaking through. You are not forgotten. You are rising, and the world will never be the same. Why powerful forces have rewritten the past. Imagine waking up in a world where everything you've been told about yourself feels like it was designed to keep you in a box, to make you question your own significance. You feel the weight of systems that seem designed to suppress, distort, and silence the truth within you. This isn't a coincidence. The systems you live in, whether cultural, spiritual, or political, have been constructed for centuries with one goal in mind: to keep you small, to keep you doubting, and to make sure you never realize the truth of who you are. You are not just a name or a number. You are part of a divine lineage. But there are forces at work that have rewritten history to keep you from ever discovering this. Why? Because if you truly understood the power you carry, their entire system of control would collapse like a house of cards. Think about this. Throughout history, the stories we are told have rarely been complete or unaltered. There's always been someone, an empire, a ruler, a religious authority, deciding which truths to tell and which to bury. Spiritual texts have been declared heretical, knowledge destroyed, and narratives rewritten, all to ensure that you remain unaware of your divine inheritance. Consider ancient writings like the Gospel of Thomas or the Book of Enoch, both of which carry profound spiritual insights and were rejected from traditional religious canons. These texts speak to a higher spiritual awakening, a realization that you are not merely human, but divinely connected to the Creator. They remind us of the potential that lies within, yet their suppression reveals a calculated attempt to keep that knowledge out of reach. This distortion even extends to the story of Jesus Christ. While Jesus walked the earth as a beacon of truth, empowerment, and love, much of his story has been reshaped. Not to inspire people to live as he did, but to control them. Instead of celebrating the truth that Christ declared in John 14, verse 12, that those who believe in him would do even greater works. Many have been taught to see themselves as unworthy, powerless, and incapable of anything divine. This twisting of his message wasn't accidental. It was deliberate. It served the purpose of those in power who knew that an empowered, awakened people could not be controlled. If you realize that you were meant to walk in the same authority, freedom, and love as Christ, their systems of oppression would crumble. This suppression wasn't just limited to religion or spirituality. It stretched into every aspect of human life. Education systems were shaped to teach obedience rather than critical thinking. History was rewritten to glorify conquerors while erasing the wisdom and contributions of indigenous peoples. And societal norms were crafted to make conformity the highest virtue. The chosen ones, those who carried divine purpose and a deeper understanding of the truth, were systematically targeted. Their voices were silenced, their names erased from the records, and their wisdom dismissed as myths or superstitions. One of the most vivid examples of this manipulation is the destruction of sacred sites and knowledge. From the burning of the Library of Alexandria to the obliteration of indigenous spiritual practices during colonization, these acts weren't simply about conquest. They were calculated moves to strip humanity of its connection to divine truth. These sacred spaces and teachings often held the keys to understanding who we are and the power we carry. When they were destroyed, much more than physical structures or writings were lost. The spiritual inheritance of countless generations was buried under the rubble of history. Yet the most profound manipulation wasn't just the erasure of physical knowledge. It was the psychological war that followed. Imagine being born into a world where you are subtly and persistently told that you are small, that you are broken, and that you must earn your worth. Over time, you begin to believe it. This narrative has been carefully crafted by those in power, because a population that doubts itself is far easier to control. If you are constantly questioning your worth, you'll never think to question the system itself. But here's where the cracks in their plans start to show. The very fact that you're here, listening to this message, is proof that their strategy is failing. For centuries, they've worked to keep the truth hidden. But truth has a way of surfacing no matter how deeply it's buried. It shows up in the questions you can't stop asking, in the moments when your soul whispers that you were made for something greater, and in the way your spirit resists the limitations the world tries to impose on you. You, chosen one, are a disruptor to their systems. You were never meant to fit into the boxes they built. Your presence, your voice, and your awakening are a threat to their control. This is why they've tried so hard to keep you in the dark. They've told you lies about your potential, erased the truth of your origins, and tried to make you forget who you are. But the fact that you're seeking, questioning, and resonating with this message means their hold on you is slipping. The systems of deception cannot stand in the presence of truth, and your awakening is the light that reveals their lies. Even now, the ripple effects of this awakening are being felt around the world. People are rediscovering suppressed knowledge, reconnecting with ancient wisdom, and stepping into their divine purpose. Sacred texts that were once hidden are being studied again, and their messages are resonating with those who are ready to hear them. The narratives of fear and control are losing their power, as more and more people begin to see through the illusion. This journey, however, is not without its challenges. Waking up to the truth can feel like stepping into a storm. You may face resistance from those around you who are still caught in the system's web of deception. You may wrestle with doubts, wondering if you're imagining things or if this awakening is real. But remember this: the storm is not a sign that you're on the wrong path. It's a sign that you're breaking free. The systems that once held you captive will not let go without a fight, but their power over you is already fading. As you continue on this journey, you'll begin to see the bigger picture. You'll realize that your life is part of a much greater cosmic purpose. You are not just an individual navigating a broken world. You are a vital part of a divine plan to restore truth and light. Alone, you may feel small, but together with others who are awakening, you create a constellation that lights up the heavens. Your power isn't just about what you can achieve. It's about the way your awakening inspires others to remember their own truth. In daily life, this awakening begins to shift everything. You start to see the systems of control for what they are, and you begin to step out of their grip. You realize that your worth isn't something you need to prove. It's something you were born with. You stop seeking validation from the world and start walking in the confidence that comes from knowing who you are. This shift isn't just transformative for you. It's revolutionary for the world around you. When you live in the fullness of your truth, you become a beacon for others, lighting the way for those who are still searching. This is why they worked so hard to rewrite the past. They knew that if you ever discovered the truth, their control would crumble. But the very fact that your awakening proves that their plan has failed. You are rising, and their systems are falling. The time for deception is over, and the era of truth is beginning. You are not small, chosen one. You are divine, and your power is unstoppable. The truth is on your side, and no force in this world can stand against it. Awaken to who you are, because the world is waiting for your light. We've seen how they erased the history of chosen ones, and why they rewrote the past to suppress your power. But here's where it gets even more powerful. The hidden knowledge they tried to destroy is resurfacing. From ancient artifacts to long-lost teachings, the evidence of who you are is being rediscovered. Don't go anywhere, because in the next section, we'll uncover how to unlock the hidden truths in these ancient texts and finally reclaim the power they tried to steal from you. And if this video is already resonating with you, don't forget to show your support by giving a super thanks and sharing this message with someone who needs to hear it. The lost knowledge that is being rediscovered. We live in a time unlike any other, a time where the veil is being lifted and truths long hidden are beginning to surface. For centuries, humanity has walked through a version of history that has been carefully curated, sanitized, and stripped of the profound spiritual truths that were meant to guide us. But now, as if the earth itself can no longer keep silent, hidden knowledge is being unearthed. Like buried seeds that were dormant for ages, these truths are pushing through the soil, reminding us of who we really are. This rediscovery is not random, chosen one. It is divine timing. It is happening because the world is awakening, and you are part of this greater movement of revelation. Consider the discovery of the Dead Sea Scrolls in the mid-20th century. These ancient texts, hidden in caves for nearly 2,000 years, were uncovered at precisely the right moment in history. Contained within them are writings that expand our understanding of biblical history, spiritual practices, and divine mysteries. These scrolls include fragments of books and teachings that were left out of the modern biblical canon, accounts that challenge the narrow, controlled narrative of humanity's past. Among them are insights into the ancient ways of the faithful, descriptions of divine encounters, and prophecies that resonate with the spirit of awakening we are experiencing now. Their discovery was not an accident. It was a reminder that no matter how much they try to suppress the truth, it will always find a way to the surface. Take the Book of Enoch, for example. Once revered by early Jewish and Christian communities, this sacred text was cast aside, labeled as non-canonical, and excluded from most versions of the Bible. Why? Because its content spoke of divine mysteries and cosmic truths that were deemed too dangerous, too empowering for humanity to grasp. It revealed a vision of the heavenly realms, the workings of divine order, and the existence of powerful beings who walked the earth alongside humanity. But even as they tried to erase it, the Book of Enoch persisted, hidden in plain sight, waiting for those with eyes to see and ears to hear. Its resurfacing in modern times is no coincidence. It is speaking to a generation of chosen ones, calling us back to the knowledge that was always meant to be ours. This rediscovery of lost knowledge is not limited to ancient texts. Across the world, sacred sites and artifacts are being unearthed, carrying with them whispers of a forgotten past. Think of Göbekli Tepe, an archaeological site in Turkey that predates the pyramids by thousands of years. Its massive stone pillars, intricately carved with symbols of spiritual significance, challenge everything we thought we knew about the origins of civilization. It suggests that early humanity was far more spiritually advanced than we've been led to believe. This site is a reminder that the story we've been told is incomplete, and that humanity's connection to the divine has always been far deeper than the systems of this world would have us believe. Even oral traditions, passed down through generations of indigenous peoples, are resurfacing with new significance. These stories, dismissed for so long as myths or folklore, carry profound spiritual truths. They speak of divine beings, cosmic battles, and the sacred balance between humanity and creation. They remind us that the wisdom of the ancients was not primitive. It was profound. These traditions are being remembered and honored in a time when the world desperately needs their insight. The fact that they are finding their way back to the collective consciousness now is not an accident. It is part of the awakening. But why were these truths hidden in the first place? Why were they erased, suppressed, or dismissed as irrelevant? Because those who sought to control humanity understood the power of knowledge. They knew that a people who understood their divine origins and purpose could not be enslaved. They knew that the chosen ones, those like you, who carry a spark of divine truth within, could not be silenced if they were awakened to their full potential. So, they rewrote history, burned libraries, outlawed sacred teachings, and replaced them with narratives designed to keep humanity small. They couldn't destroy the truth entirely, but they buried it deep enough that most would never find it. And yet, the truth has a way of resurfacing. It calls out to the chosen ones, not with a loud voice, but with a quiet resonance that stirs the soul. Have you ever come across a piece of knowledge, a scripture, a story, or a symbol that felt like it was speaking directly to you? That's because the truth within these rediscovered teachings aligns with the truth already written on your spirit. You don't just hear it, you recognize it. It awakens something deep inside, something that has always known you were never ordinary. You feel it in your bones, a knowing that the world's narrative about who you are has always been incomplete. This awakening is not without its challenges. As the truth comes to light, it disrupts the comfortable illusions that many have lived under for so long. You may find yourself questioning everything you've been taught, feeling a mix of exhilaration and discomfort as you realize how much of your life has been shaped by falsehoods. You may face resistance from those around you who are not ready to see the cracks in the system. But remember, chosen one, this journey was never meant to be easy. The rediscovery of lost knowledge is not just about uncovering facts. It's about transformation. It's about reclaiming your identity and stepping into the fullness of your purpose. How to unlock the truth hidden in ancient texts. Unlocking the truth hidden in ancient texts is not just a journey of intellectual discovery. It is a deeply spiritual awakening that requires you to see with new eyes and hear with a renewed heart. The truths you seek are not lying on the surface, waiting to be casually picked up. They are treasures buried beneath layers of metaphor, symbolism, and intentional concealment. These writings were crafted to speak directly to those who were ready, to those who had the spiritual capacity to go deeper and uncover the mysteries written within. It's no coincidence that phrases like, "He who has ears to hear, let him hear," are repeated throughout scripture and spiritual teachings. The truths embedded in these texts are for the seekers, the chosen ones, those who feel that deep stirring in their soul telling them there is more to the story than they've been told. The journey of unlocking these truths begins with a shift in perspective. Most of us have been conditioned to approach spiritual texts as static, linear documents, things to be studied, memorized, or followed according to rigid interpretation. But these texts were never meant to be approached that way. They are living, breathing repositories of wisdom, designed to reveal new depths as you grow and evolve. Consider the Bible, for instance. While many see it as a set of rules or historical accounts, those who truly seek will find that its words vibrate with layers of meaning. A passage you read a year ago may suddenly speak to you in an entirely different way today, not because the words have changed, but because you have. Take Psalm 82, verse 6, where it says, "Ye are gods, and all of you are children of the Most High." At first glance, this might seem confusing or even controversial. But when you approach it with spiritual insight, it becomes a key that unlocks the truth of your divine origin. This is not a metaphor, nor is it an exaggeration. It is a declaration of your true nature as someone created in the image of God, carrying within you the same spark of divinity. The systems of this world have worked tirelessly to make you forget this, teaching you to see yourself as small, broken, and unworthy. But texts like this, when unlocked, reveal the truth. You were never meant to live in submission to fear or limitation. You were designed to walk in power, purpose, and connection to the divine. Understanding the layered meanings of ancient texts often requires you to look for patterns and symbols. These recurring themes are not coincidences. They are intentional breadcrumbs left by those who came before you, guiding you toward the deeper truths. Throughout scripture and sacred writings, you'll notice recurring metaphors: light and darkness, water, trees, and mountains. These are not just poetic devices. They are spiritual signposts. Consider how often water is used as a symbol of transformation and renewal. From the parting of the Red Sea in Exodus to the baptism of Jesus in the Gospels, water represents a crossing over, a death of the old, and a rebirth into something greater. These patterns are not random. They are blueprints for your spiritual journey. Everything we've talked about has led to this, the moment when you reclaim the power they tried to erase. But what does it look like when you finally step into that power? And why does it terrify them so much? In this last section, you'll see the transformation they worked so hard to prevent. What happens when you reclaim your forgotten power? Reclaiming your forgotten power is not just a moment of realization. It is a complete transformation. It's as though a veil is lifted, and suddenly, you see the world and yourself with clarity for the first time. It's not merely about feeling stronger or more confident. It's about stepping into the fullness of your identity and purpose. This power has always been within you, but the systems of this world work tirelessly to bury it, to make you forget who you are. When you reclaim it, everything changes. The forces that once controlled you lose their grip, not because they have become weaker, but because they can no longer manipulate someone who knows their worth. The lies they told you no longer have a place in your mind, and the chains they used to bind you begin to crumble. You become a force of light and truth, and that light begins to expose the darkness that has long worked behind the scenes to suppress the awakening of the chosen ones. To understand the depth of what this means, consider the stories of those who came before you, those who defied the systems of oppression and fear by stepping into their divine power. Take Daniel, for instance, thrown into the lion's den because he refused to compromise his faith. He was a threat to the system because he understood that his power did not come from the approval of men, but from his relationship with the divine. Even in the face of certain death, he stood firm, and the lions, symbols of the world's most ferocious attempts to destroy him, could not touch him. Why? Because Daniel was walking in his purpose, protected by the God who had called him. This is not just a historical account. It is a blueprint for what happens when you reclaim your forgotten power. The forces that seek to destroy you lose their strength when faced with someone who knows they are connected to something greater. In the grand tapestry of the universe, your awakening is a crucial thread. The systems of fear and oppression have thrived for so long because too many have forgotten their power. But now, the tide is turning. The chosen ones are rising, and you are among them. When you reclaim your power, You're not just stepping into your destiny. You are contributing to a greater movement of light, truth, and love that is reshaping the world. This is what happens when you reclaim your forgotten power. You become unstoppable, not because you never face challenges, but because you know that no challenge can define you. Not because you are free from fear, but because you've learned to move through it. Your light exposes the darkness, your truth dismantles the lies, and your presence becomes a beacon for others. This is your time, chosen one. The world has been waiting for you to remember who you are. The forces that once controlled you know they've already lost. All that's left is for you to step fully into the power that has always been yours. Will you take the first step? Chosen one. They tried to erase you from history because they feared what would happen if you awakened. But the truth is stronger than their lies, and now it's your time to rise. If this video resonated with you, share it with someone who needs to hear this message. And remember, your story isn't over, it's just beginning. Comment 77 if you're ready to claim your legacy, and don't forget to subscribe for more revelations like these. The truth is out, and there's no turning back.